Hi, everybody. Back and better than ever. Mike and Mike in the morning here on ESPN2 Radio joins us in a moment. Marcellus Wiley will join me in for Golic today in a moment. But clearly, one of the top stories of the day, Bobby Petrino fleeing Atlanta. Perhaps it could be phrased that way, going back to college to coach at Arkansas. Why, you ask? I'm glad you asked. Here's what he had to say.
Today was a day of decisions. It was difficult on one side and very easy on the other. You know, it was very difficult to leave Atlanta and what we had started there. It was difficult to leave the staff, the players, and the fans. The timing of it was probably the thing that made it the most difficult. I certainly would have liked to stay and finish the season and have that all work out, but circumstances presented that this is what we had to do today, and I couldn't be more happy.
When I first heard about it, I just couldn't believe it. Just thought it was a rumor, and especially those post-game pep talks he gives us, and those pep talks he gives us week to week. It just had everybody thinking, especially me, that he was in here for the long haul, just like us.
You can do things with college players not like you can in the NFL. And I think Coach Petrino came in kind of blindsided by it. I think the veteran players and other players that's in the NFL, you have to readjust readjust some of the things that you do as a coach in the college ranks. That's personally how I think.
For me, as a player on this team, and everything that I've put into this team, my heart, my soul into it, and everything I've laid on the line, I don't want someone that's the general of this football team leading us when his heart's not in it 110%.
Bobby Petrino is no longer the head football coach of the Atlanta Falcons. Bobby Petrino is the head football coach of the Arkansas Razorbacks and has already had a press conference.
It was very difficult to leave Atlanta and what we had started there. It was difficult to leave the staff, players, and the fans. The timing of it was probably the thing that made it the most difficult.
Oh, really?
The circumstances presented that this is what we had to do today, and I couldn't be more happy about it.
Oh, that's terrific. Oh, what a joy. Let me tell you about the last 18 months that Bobby Petrino has had, okay? Bobby Petrino in July of 2006 signed a 10-year contract with Louisville. In January of 2007, so 6 months later, he signed a 5-year contract with the Atlanta Falcons.
That's 2018 right there.
That's right. And here we are in December of 2007, so 11 months later, he has resigned and signed a new contract, we would assume, with the Arkansas Razorbacks. He's had the news conference. I don't know how long the contract is, but let's just suggest this. Let's say his contract in Arkansas is 5 years. Let's just throw that number out there. I don't know what it is. Well, let's throw that out there. He has signed 20 years' worth of contracts in the last 18 months.
Yeah.
In the last 18 months, he has signed contracts that should lock him up till about 2030. That's who Bobby Petrino is. So when you hear me screaming on the radio last week and last year and every year at this time about these contracts and these coaches who have absolutely no personal integrity and who have the audacity to look 18-year-old kids in the eye and look their fathers and mothers in the eye and say, I want you to trust me. Send your kid to come play for me. I will be a father figure to your child. Trust me. And even to some degree on the pro level, and that's where I want to get your perspective on this, Marcellus, because it's a different kind of trust that you have to have on the NFL level between the players and the coach, but a trust level nonetheless. Trust me. Buy into me. That's what we always hear in the NFL, right? Buy into my program. Buy into who I am. And by the way, it is a 5-year deal at Arkansas. So it's a nice even number. 20 years worth of contracts in the last 18 months. That's a little more than 1 year per month of contract that he has signed. Buy into me. Trust me. Why would anyone ever trust Bobby Petrino again? Who could ever listen to that man talk and say, oh, yeah, I believe him. Oh, yeah, he's being straight up with me. Oh, yeah, he is a man of integrity, and I should entrust my children, my son, my friend, my cousin to go buy into that guy. Explain that to me.
Well, obviously he's signing these contracts in pencil, and if I was an owner or if I was a AD of a school, I wouldn't let Bobby Petrino sell me on loyalty, and that's what's tough as a player. You come into the offseason, and that's when you build your team mentally. You build your team through preparation and confidence and just the continuity of being around the guys. And to hear someone who in the middle of the season season, later part of the season, decides to jump ship, I mean, that just undermines everything he said, and that really leaves you with some ugly feelings towards him. I know as a player, I buy into the playbook, not because it was sold to me, but it was told to me, and then it was executed by confidence in these leaders, in our coaches, in our players. When you have a guy who just throws a playbook at you and 13 games later he says, you know what, this didn't work out for me, after you sign on the dotted line, no one can ever talk about players not having loyalty, and that's the situation that's so disturbing about this. And I wish it was unprecedented, but it's not. I mean, Nick Saban did it last year, or a couple years ago, and
last year,
and we're looking at this situation now. I mean, is there a rash? Is there an epidemic of this happening now, where we're talking about players? Where's your coaching mindset when you're thinking about, okay, I have a press conference tomorrow, we have a game tomorrow, I have to make sure the game plan is in? I mean, are you juggling all these things mentally before you go out there and lose to the Saints?
It's incredible. I had already planned on giving it to Bobby Petrino today because of a comment that he made after the loss to New Orleans. Listen to this. I didn't. Shame on me. I hadn't heard it when we came in here yesterday. I didn't hear it till after our show yesterday. So one of the drawbacks of doing a show that starts at 6 o'clock in the morning, you can't hear absolutely everything that happens. Then afterwards, I'm on the treadmill watching the re-air of SportsCenter, and I hear Bobby Petrino after the game against the Saints talking about what a day it had been with the Michael Vick sentencing, and then they got to play that night. And listen to what he says. Listen to what he is implying. This is before we knew he was leaving that same day for Arkansas.
We talked about it, prior to the week starting, what was going to transpire throughout the week, questions that were going to come about, and then, of course, what was going to happen today. Interesting timing, how it happens when we're on national TV.
Interesting timing, how it happens when we're on national TV. Okay, hold on.
Yeah.
I understand ESPN is responsible for almost every bad thing that happens, not just in sports, but on the planet, okay? Global warming is ESPN's fault. People like to suggest that we have to, okay, guess what? The NFL schedule was released long before
April.
The sentencing date was set for Michael Vick. So, Bobby Petrino, was he suggesting, if it isn't ESPN he's suggesting had some role in this, was he suggesting that the judge set the sentencing date by looking on the schedule and saying, let me see, the Atlanta Falcons are playing Monday, December 10th. Let's set that as our schedule. Let's make sure that's the day that we sentence Michael Vick. We'll get a lot more attention that way. Maybe ESPN will go wall to wall with the coverage. I thought that was the dumbest thing I'd ever heard anybody say in my life until I woke up this morning and found out that while I was asleep, he had left Atlanta, gone to Arkansas, and held a press conference. This is one of the strangest days we've had in sports. You picked a good day to come in here, Dad, dude.
Yeah, I did. And what caught me by surprise was the fact that he used the word happy. I mean, do you have a PR person? Do you have a publicist? Someone's supposed to tell you in a press conference, as they tell us as players, when you're doing press conferences, especially those that are this sensitive in nature, not to use the word happy when you're leaving a place, especially a place that is really, for lack of better words, mourning after the loss of Michael Vick and the 3-10 start to this season. I don't want to hear you're happy. I don't want to hear you're going somewhere better. So, Bobby Petrino, you have a lot to face, especially when you land in Arkansas. So I wonder what those young players are going to be saying to you when you make them run those extra gassers, make them run those extra wind sprints, those up downs, the tough things, the squats. Coach, are you going to be here for the 10th rep? Or are you going to leave in the middle of this set? It's crazy.
Oh, I'm very much enjoying having you here so far. We're off to a flying start. Marcellus Wiley in for Golic today. Petrino, clearly one of the big stories, just the complete lack of personal integrity. And it's not just him. It is rampant in the college coaching profession. Frankly, it has become an embarrassment. And I really believe something needs to be done.